Well, Garrett, cheers.
Cheers. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you for doing this.
Yeah.
Thank you for finding the time. I know you are a very, very busy man these days, so I appreciate you taking the time. I feel like every time I can go into the gym at like 6 a.m. or like 8 o'clock at night, and you will be in there training.
Yeah.
Like, how many hours a day? Like between training clients and like working out yourself.
Yeah.
Like, how much time are you in there between like that versus like downtime?
Honestly, it feels like I'm in there 24/7. Sometimes the like days mesh together. I'll say hi to someone, but I'll be like, wait, did I just say hi to you? Is it the same day or is it like different day? I'm in there a lot of hours. I've actually switched my hours sort of. Just because building up the clientele right now, I had the freedom to do this, but I used to always go in for like 6 a.m. I'd have like 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 maybe. Then I had like a 4 or 5 hour gap. And then I would come back in the evening. I'd usually try and squeeze in my training in the middle of the day. But then I usually go home and have like a 1 to 2 hour nap during the like day. And I just felt like I was living 2 different days in one day.
Yeah.
And I wasn't really getting much done in my free time. Like I was there early. And so I didn't have any sort of morning before I started, my day. I didn't do anything for myself first. And I actually really like that. Doing something for yourself first is actually really, really good. And then in the evening I was there late, so I didn't really have like an evening to go home and like, chill out and relax, watch a TV show. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But now actually I've switched my hours. So I go in late. I actually go in for 10.
Okay.
I go in for 10 a.m. and I'm there straight.
10 is late.
10 is like a little bit late. It's kind of like you're sleeping in, but I also work until 8.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was going to say. That was going to be my next point.
I'm there for 10 hours, which, most people have that like kind of 9 to 5 job. So I'm there for longer hours, but I just go in a little bit kind of later. It's been working out. I usually try and go in like an hour early to train on my own, or I'll try and squeeze in a training session in the middle of the day. But really right now, and this is just like my goal of building my business. If I can schedule in someone to train and make money, I'm going to cancel my own training and I'm going to take care of a client. And that's just part of the business. If you want to grow, you got to say yes, yes, yes. When I first started, the way that I actually built my whole clientele is just saying yes to everybody. And I kind of like, I lost balance in my life. Like I don't get much balance. And it's funny because, as a trainer, you want to keep up that like certain body because you want to look the part.
Yeah.
But I put my clients first. So in the last 3 years, I've kind of like put more focus on my clients, less focus on my own body. So I haven't seen my body change and grow as much as it did, before I was super busy. So that's one downside. I kind of put my heart and soul into my like working clients, and I got this good feeling about having my clients reach their goals more so than me reaching my own goals. It's kind of switched.
Yeah, I feel like that's something that like I've seen a couple of trainers who like, when they get a little bit of when they become more and more successful, you get more and more busy. You kind of get lost in your own training. But it seems like you don't really have an issue with that. It's like you're happy to sacrifice.
I'm a little bit happy. It's like priorities change over the course of your life, and I've always talked to Dan, the owner of Torque, about this. It's like he asked me, "Are you going to do a show soon?" I was like, "I would love to." But right now I'm just loving growing my business. I'm making like a good quality income. I can save to buy a house. I can build my life with, my girlfriend, family. I can have kids one day, all this stuff. It'd be hard to, I'd have to dial back drastically on the hours in the gym training clients, which means taking a pay cut to then focus on doing a show.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So like, I remember I was, years ago, I was pretty busy and I tried to do both. It was hard. And luckily my clients are usually my like biggest fans. So when I'm in prep and I'm tired or I'm hungry, they're like, "Hey Garrett, I think you're like hungry. I think you like need something to eat." And I was like, "Yeah, I'm fucking tired, guys. Like I'm like done." I would come in early. Sometimes when I was doing boot camp at 6 a.m., I'd sometimes come in at 5 a.m. when the gym was closed still. I'd always have the lights off. So I actually kind of liked it. I'd crank the like tunes up on the stairs, pitch black. I'd do my cardio. And then I would train my clients from 6 to 10 or 11, and then I go and nap. But I'd be so tired, right?
Yeah.
But I just feel like if I really wanted to do well in bodybuilding and go pro, I'd have to dial it back. Like I feel like I could have done better, even though I did awesome. I felt like I looked great, right? But to be at the top, like elite level, that's all they do. Yeah. All they do is eat, train, sleep. They don't really. That is their job. where there's a few bodybuilding or bodybuilders. Pat Moore, I know he's a personal trainer too. I think some of them are, but generally most of them are just, they're like a icon in the bodybuilding industry, and they sell programs or plans based off who they are. Like they don't actually do much physical present stuff. They're building plans, and then they just let those, sell for them. Right? They're putting in maybe a bunch of hours over like a month or two to create these plans, and then just let them sell, and then they can focus on, going and prepping for their show. So
yeah, you kind of got to pick one, because I was talking to I kind of talked to Margarita about this a little bit, which was that it really takes it. Well, if you want to put in the level of effort that it takes to do well at a show, you basically need to dedicate your whole life to it, which kind of takes away from everything else in your life. So you kind of got to pick one. If you're focused right now on building your business, which is ultimately, a lot of people, the end goal of them being, competing in fitness is to one day have a career from it.
Exactly.
Which is like, you're not building by competing, let's be honest.
Yeah.
unless you're winning Olympias, unless your name is Chris Bumstead, you're not making your living. Even then, even him, he probably would tell you that he couldn't make his entire living just banking on winning an Olympia every year.
Yeah.
Because you can't just expect that you're going to win every year. But just bodybuilding alone won't make you a career. But what it will do is it will make you a name.
Exactly.
Which you can then build a career off of. So if you're building the career already, it's kind of like, unless you really have the passion for competing and you really have the drive, something that's really calling you to the stage, then I feel like it's not 100%
I
necessary.
genuinely love training. I love pushing my body to the ultimate kind of limits and watching it change. When you I remember the first time I saw myself shredded, I was like, wow, like this is this even me? It almost looks fake, and it's just so cool to see that, and you almost get like addicted to that pain and kind of suffering through diet and everything like that hunger pains and being tired and just like pushing through. You don't actually enjoy, and I tell this to like clients, is that I don't know many people that love the actual training part. It's the feeling you get after, the feeling when you make it, like I'm like with you, the like feeling when you get an awesome lift, the feeling after. During that kind of moment, you're kind of like in this blur, like time kind of like, it just goes from like here to here. You blink and it's over, but it's the feeling afterwards, like, yeah, I like did it. Satisfaction, right? So I tell my clients, like, I don't like training. Okay, then don't focus on liking training. Focus on the feeling you get after. And that's the best part about, getting through a prep. I remember the first prep I ever did, before I even stepped on stage, the minute I finished my last cardio session, I already felt like I already won. And I didn't even really care about where I placed in the show. I felt like I was like, I already did it. I already made it. And that's the best attitude to have it when you're doing shows, is you versus you. It's never, because you're going up there and it's these three judges, and it's what they think looks best.
Yeah.
There's no like,
which you have zero control over.
With like powerlifting, it's a little bit different. There's numbers.
Yes.
Like you can't alter numbers. So if you get it, you do. If you don't, you don't. But when you're going up there and being judged on how you look, it's what they think looks good. So you have to have the mindset of like, you just always beating your previous self.
Yeah. I think that's also where it possibly gets dangerous for a lot of people, is when their value is kind of placed on how they do at their show, which is, it's tough, because like you said, it's really subjective, and it's what somebody else thinks is what somebody else sees, and you're up there for like I don't know, like 10 seconds.
It feels
maybe?
like it's shorter and shorter every year, because more and more people are wanting to do it, and they want to allow more people to do it, and they don't have time. They only have this building for a certain amount of time. They got to fit all these athletes in there.
And it's like 12, 18, 20 weeks sometimes that you put into just somebody looking at you for
15 seconds tops.
The most, at the very most, 15 seconds.
And they even, when I first started, I did four poses: front, back, side, side. Now it's only 2.
Oh, this changed.
It's only 2. It's front, back. There's not even a side. Now you can kind of make your front pose sort of off to the side, because you create that like aesthetic, like really V taper. But there's no side, front, back, and that's to limit your time up there, because they have to fit in all these people. Yeah, so it's kind of like a rip in a way.
That's
yeah.
Well, did you always know Like, well, when you started training, was it always like, I want to get on? Was that the goal? At the beginning?
I can't remember the like moment where I knew I wanted to step on stage. I think I probably when Instagram started to be a like thing, and I saw people doing shows, and I saw people doing their like posing. I kind of thought like, okay, that'd be cool. And then once I was like, you know what, I'm gonna try and do a show. I found that having that goal is what really pushed me to stay on track, follow my diet to a T. And then I was like, okay, I need a show to always push myself to that point.
Yeah.
And then I got in my head, I was like, okay, if I go pro, wouldn't that be awesome? If I got to like go up there against the best of the best. I've always, in everything that I do, I want to be the best at it. Whether it's a job that I hate, I still want to be like told, oh, you're doing an awesome job. You're doing great. You're like good at what you do, even if it's something I didn't like. So this is just carried over. I actually like this. Now I want to be told that I'm good at it, you know?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So at what point how long have you been like between like starting to train and deciding to become a personal trainer? Like what's the timeline of that?
So I joined the gym when I was 15, and I joined for the reason that I think most young kids join the gym. They want to be more confident. They want to feel better about how they kind of look. They see maybe pictures of these people that are like really lean and they look great and they want to look like that. I think the first time I ever thought like, oh, okay, that'd be cool. Look, I saw one of those Hollister guys standing out front of the shop shirtless, and I was like, oh, that'd be cool. Like, they're getting all the girls. I want to have that type of body. So I started to go to the gym. I joined the gym at 15, and I was actually pretty good. Like I was high school. I would finish around 2:30. I would take the bus. It'd take me like 45 minutes to bus to the gym.
Jesus.
Yeah. And then I would work out for an hour and a half, and then it would take me like an hour to bus home. And I'd do that 3 or 4 days every week at like 15, 16. So I was like pretty like, driven to do this. And I've always had that drive to just be good at whatever I do. I kind of get like obsessed with it, right? And I just want to do it every day. So I did that all the way through high school. And then once I was done high school, I got into the whole kind of like party phase, and fitness was on the back burner a little bit. Everyone has to kind of, get that out of their system, I feel like. And for me, it went a little bit too far, like in terms of like I was partying too much. I wasn't really eating well. I wasn't treating my body right. And I went through some like kind of mental illness stuff. And then after that, I went to school for fitness and health at George Brown. And there, actually, I thought that I wanted to do that as a career, but the way that they teach you there is how to be a like good life trainer. And that actually made me not want to do it.
Which is like sell. Basically.
It's just basically selling and basically being owned by a like gym. And I was like, I never want to do this. It's like teaching like a spin class or like aerobics and doing like health, like fitness testing and all this stuff, like which isn't bad.
Yeah, it's fine if you do that.
Yeah,
it's fine if you do that.
Yeah, it's totally fine if you do that. But that's just not what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
I wanted to train people to basically do what I did when I was younger, is building this like body that you love, like just building this like confidence. That I wanted to help people transform their body and also mind, because I went through all this mental illness stuff, and I've always just wanted to look good, feel good. So after that, I actually thought like, I don't think this is the right industry for me. Then I joined Torque, and then I saw the trainers there, and I was like, it would be so cool to be one of these trainers. That's who I want to be. And here I am now, like 6 years later, and I'm the head trainer. So I think it's like very cool that I started off as just like a guy training at Torque. I saw the people at the top that I was like, that'd be cool to be them, and just working hard over the last like 6 years, and now being at the top is just like, it's actually pretty crazy when I sit down and think back.
Yeah, like
to where I was.
Torque really was like I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That was like the big turning point.
And funny enough, is the way that I found out about Torque is through Margarita, because she went to Extreme. I went to Extreme Couture on Queensway and not Queensway, Kipling and North Queen.
Yeah.
She used to go there, and then she posted videos at Torque, and I was like, that looks like an awesome gym. And then I switched over there. And that was actually the time I went to Torque for a couple months, and then I actually moved to Australia for a year. I did one of those work and holiday visas, and it was halfway through the year there where I started going to the gym a lot. I started like really loving fitness, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to do a show. That's where I actually thought like, I'm going to do a show. So I think that's when Instagram blew up with all these shows happening, all the bodybuilding stuff. That's when it was 2016. That's when things started to really like blow up with bodybuilding and doing shows. So I got my first coach there. and then he helped me. That was the first time I ever counted macros in like 2016 when I was, I guess,
funny.
24. And so that's where everything changed. When I got back, I actually got Margarita to coach me through my first two shows because she had just gone pro. And then that's where it all like took off. I did a show in 2017, and then I did a show in 2018, and then a show in 2019, and then COVID hit.
And then COVID.
Where I was prepping for a show in 2020.
Bring us a little bit closer to you
Yep.
there.
I was prepping for a show in 2020, and that's when COVID just hit, right? In March of 2020, right? I guess so, yeah.
Would've been around
so
there, yeah.
I was prepping for a show then, and then it got canceled. And then things started to open again after the first lockdown, and I was going to prep for a show, which was in November. And that actually, I thought that we were going to go into another lockdown. And so I actually pulled out at 6 weeks out because I was like, you know what, I can't take this. Like, I don't know if the show's going to happen. I'm not like tunnel vision. You have to be tunnel vision for the show. So I was like, you know what, I'm going to pull out. Anyway, the show that I was prepping for was the last show to happen before our next lockdown.
Oh.
So
you were almost right.
I could have done it, but I just wasn't in the right mindset, right?
No, the whole time you would have been in the back of your head, this is going to get canceled,
Yeah.
It's gonna
I was also
affect the way
stressed.
that
I was
you
like,
train
I'm going to
for it.
be out of work again.
Oh yeah. That's another
During the very first lockdown, I thought it was only going to be a couple weeks, like a lot of people. And so I just took that. I was like, okay, I'm just going to take time off. I'll do my online clients, but that's about it.
Yeah.
And in the second lockdown is when I kept seeing clients, outside of the gym, throughout that, because I was like, you know what, I can't be out of work again. Like, I got to do what you got to do. A lot of people did that during our second lockdown.
Mhm.
They found ways to make money. They found ways to work. And then now just being back, I'm just so happy to be back in the gym. Like I was doing well on like doing my own thing outside of the gym, but I'd much rather make less and be inside of a gym with all the members and everything like that than to, be outside the gym and just like seeing people's like in their backyards or at their homes and stuff like that. I'd much rather be in torque. Mentally, I just like it more, even if I make less. And that's one thing about fitness is that I do really well. I do better than I ever thought I would have done in this industry. But it's not about money. It's about, I don't even feel like I'm actually going to like work. Like I'm sure you love what you do, right? Some days will feel like work because you're there for like 10, 12 hours. So you're tired, but it's not, it's at the end of the day, it's like you have to go to a gym and help people train and help like get shredded or jacked. Like, you know,
I find that like when you have those long stretches, for me, the equivalent would be like, 2 or 3 or 4 days back to back of like 10, 12 hour shoots. And they're taxing physically and mentally. But then when you kind of, for me, when I wrap up and I'm on the car ride home and I'm exhausted and I'm like delirious almost, and I'm just, that's when you kind of have to take a step back and like, wait, this is what you do for a living, right? This is what you do to make, like you're doing the thing that you're doing, no matter how you feel right now, big picture, you're doing what you love and you're making your living doing it. So like, it's easy to go back to it.
Yeah.
No matter how much it's.
Yeah, I think sometimes. It's never that it feels like work, because people always say like, like, how are you here all day long? It must feel like work at a certain point. It's not that it feels like work. It's just I'm tired. It's like I'm talking to people. I have to be someone's hype man for 10 to 12 hours a day. That's taxing. That's a lot. Yeah. And a lot of people who talk to me and hear how many hours I actually put in the gym, they're like, man, that's crazy, because in personal training, it is a lot of hours to be on, to be focused, to be like, with your client talking and stuff like that. It is taxing. Yeah. But again, your passion drives you through that, right?
Yeah. That's what it is. Yeah. And I feel kind of the same way, which is like, the one thing that like a lot of people don't really take into consideration is the level of social energy that you have to put in, because you probably feel this too. Like when I'm on shoots, it almost sometimes feels like I'm playing something of a character. Yeah. Because you have to put on a certain level of energy because you want to get a certain a level of energy back from them. Right. Yes. So, if I show up to a shoot and I'm just kind of like slugging through it and I'm just like not talking and I'm not smiling and I'm not, then it's going to affect how they, feed off of it. I'm not going to get the performance out of them that I want. Yep. If I'm not giving them the energy that they need. So, Yeah, but that, so you have to put on, like I say, it's a character, but it's kind of just, like an elevated version of myself is what I say.
Yeah.
It's just me on 11.
Yeah.
And so it's not like I'm playing it's not like I'm being fake. It's just that I'm being myself with like 110% energy.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's hard to do. And you can only do it for so long before you redline and you run out.
Yeah.
But the thing that kind of keeps you going through it is like what you said. It's just like, it's not that I'm overworked. It's just I'm out of energy.
It's just out of energy. Yeah. You're just
you
gassed.
only have so much of it.
Yeah.
So I think it's different if you're doing like work to me is something that you're just trading, right? You're just trading your time for money, which is that is very hard to put in any level of energy close to, or let alone above what you feel like you are at 100%. To put in 110%, day in and day out for something that you don't really, really love to do, you can't do that for a long time.
Yeah.
So,
and one thing that you'll probably, you deal with too is you kind of run your own, well, you do run your own business. Personal training is like running your own business. So if I have a client come to me and say, I want to train, but that means stay an hour later, it's like, do I get paid more? Do I make more? Or do I have overall, more balance in my life? Like, where is that kind of line? And that is a kind of blurry line. It's like, I just get caught up in like chasing hours. I'm always trading my time. And that's where that's where I've really tried since we've come back from like COVID and kind of lockdown, is finding ways to make money without being there, like passive income. That is how I'm going to do this long term, because I'm not going to be able to do 8 to 10 clients 6 days a week in the gym forever. Like I don't, like if I have a family one day, there's just no way. I'm not going to have any energy for my kids, for my partner, like anything. Like I need to be able to say no at certain times. And I'm sure with you, it's like, oh, someone's asked me to do a shoot. That means working like Sunday, when you've just worked 6 days straight. It's like, damn, like, do I take this? And sometimes you have to gauge it as like, okay, is it actually worth it? Maybe this is going to give me an opportunity in other ways. Or do I just say no? And it's like, you know what? I deserve time for me and my family and things outside. And that's the part that I'm trying to make sure doesn't happen, is that I do it so much that I actually start to hate it. Like, what if I do it too much where I lose everything else in my life? That's all I have. And then it starts to lose. It's like,
Yeah, for sure. Well, I think that's an issue with anything entrepreneurial, is like, I think that everybody who's tried to do something that's, on your own and for something that you like to do, everybody runs into the same trap, which is like, is what you said. When in the beginning, you take everything. You say yes to everything, no matter what. It's a cool thing, pays $0, I'm there. I had to drive an hour and a half, spend my own money to work for, I'm going to be there. But, and then, with the hope that, that then connects you to new people, or, puts your foot in the door with certain people that you want to work with. But it's just for a long time, your mentality is just say yes, take more, do more. But there is a limit to that. And finding that limit, I think, is where a lot of people hit the wall, and that's the only way that they find it. And that's what happened to me. It's what happened to a lot of people that I know, which is, you for the longest time, you're just thinking about taking more things, saying yes, like just saying yes to everything. And just not knowing where that boundary is. And so it's just, you have to, like, for a lot of people, it's just, you don't find it until it's kind of too late. Like, do you have any experience with burnout?
I want to say that I've never experienced burnout, because I'm just like a workhorse. I'm just like, I'm not getting burnt out. I will, like, one of my biggest things, and people are asking me, like, how are you not tired? Like, how do you have all this energy? I don't speak that I'm tired. Like, I don't say like, oh, I'm like tired today. I'll like feel it. I'll know that I'm feeling it, but I'm not going to give it energy. So like, if I feel like I'm getting burnt out, I'm just going to find ways to push through, or I'll know then, okay, it's time to like dial back a little bit.
So you like gauge it as you go.
I kind of gauge a little bit. So I probably have been burnt out, but I'm not going to let it get the like best of me, where even if I'm already past that kind of line of like, I'm burnt, like I have no energy, I'm finding I'm not really focused, I'm not really motivated, I won't give it too much energy, and I'll just dial back a little bit, and I'll just kind of like, do that like period
I know
where it's
saying.
like, where you take the like deload week, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So I think that I've definitely experienced burnout, but not to the point where it like got me down. I wouldn't ever let it like take me totally down, you know?
That's good.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people don't.
How about you? Like
Oh, definitely,
yeah.
100%. Yeah.
And what have you done to get yourself out of that though?
It took a while. It took a long time. It's yeah, because I've talked about it before, which is that it's crazy because you don't. It's not one of these things where it's like you find you push the limit, and then one day you're just like, oh shit, that's too much. For me, it's like I had been doing too much and I had already committed to too much, and it had been months.
Yeah.
And I was just, like I was just starting to notice things, which was just like, that's not normal.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of it, like there was a lot of mental things, there was a lot of physical things, of like literally my body telling me like, hey, you're doing way too much.
Yeah.
And I'd realized, because then I had to think about it, where it's just like, I think I'm burnt out. And I was like, when did this happen? And I traced it back to 2 months before that day.
Okay. Yeah.
So I'd been in it for like 2 whole months, just like redlined and completely over capacity, and just running myself into the ground. And I had been doing that for like 2 months at that point.
You had known something was off. You just wasn't sure what was actually happening at that point.
No, not until I really sat with it. The whole time I was just like, oh, I'm just tired. Like what you were saying. I'm just tired. And then one day I realized it was like, no, this is not normal. Like I shouldn't be hearing voices. I shouldn't be like, I shouldn't be blacking out and ending up in rooms and forgetting how I got there. And I'd like these things shouldn't be happening, right? Like I shouldn't be like waking up like screaming in pain,
right?
Like these things shouldn't be happening. And I had to talk to a bunch of people. And it's like, do you guys? And they were just like, you are burnt out.
Yeah.
And and then I had to like think back and like, how long has this been going on? And it had been going on for like a couple of months. And I can't remember exactly when it was, but I think that's actually the shutdown of COVID.
Yep.
Was one of the things that did it for me.
Yeah.
Because that was where you just had no choice but to stop.
You had to slow down, yeah.
We had nothing to do.
Mm-hmm.
And that was, I remember like that first period of COVID, the very first time that we all got locked down and we all thought we were going to die. There was nothing to do completely. Yeah. And that was the first time in maybe like 3-4 years where I had a day off.
Yeah.
And I realized that I was just like, I finished, I had still had some editing work to do. But then I got through all of it and I finished it. And that was the first time that I had an empty to-do list in like 3-4 years.
Yeah.
And one whole day where I didn't have to worry about anything. I had nothing on my mind. I had nothing that was like pressing. And all I could do is just whatever I felt like. And I had not felt that in like 3-4 years.
Yeah.
So then just being shut down for however many months, I think that really let me recover, when I could just try to remember like, what do I enjoy about life?
Yeah.
And
after COVID and after all these lockdowns, have you tried to, finding out, other parts of your life that you have kind of put off to the side, you're trying to like add that into your life?
Oh, definitely.
Trickle it in. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's one of the things that helps balance it too. I think like that's one of the ways for you that you've been able to kind of avoid it, is the fact that, because for me, it was like a big part of it was fitness.
Mm-hmm.
Fitness, and also just like spending some quiet time, just like in my place by myself, just like it was like reading or like watching a show, I forgot how much I love to watch movies.
Oh yeah.
And then now I had time to do all that. I had time to go back to the theaters when they fucking open up.
Yep.
But yeah, just finding things about life that I enjoy doing for myself. I think that's like one of the things that helped me strike a balance with it. But for you, it's like, like I was saying, fitness was a big part of it, and you get to work that into your day, right?
Yeah.
So it's, I guess for you, it's just keeping a like
one thing that's tricky is that, and I almost sometimes I wish my job wasn't also my like passion, because all I do is really fitness, because that's my like hobby, bodybuilding. But then that's also my like job. So, I've been really trying in the last year to find out, what are some other hobbies that I could like, just do something else for fun that gives me joy.
Yeah.
Outside of fitness, because I think that'll also help me love fitness more, is that I'm just not always doing it. Even though I think there's going to be a time where it's just like, that's all I do. Like, can I just do something else for once? Like, please?
Yeah.
Like, I want to have friends that do something different, right? I don't want to just have friends inside of the like fitness industry. So that's one thing. Like with you, do you take photos just for fun on your own? Like just on a like?
I haven't in a long time.
Right?
I haven't in a long time.
Now, did you do that before though?
Yeah. That's the reason why, right? Like I had no intention of starting it as a career. It just kind of happened.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I've thought about this too, which is just like, when was the last time I brought my camera out just for fun? Because when I go out now, the last thing I want to do is pack up a camera.
Yeah.
But that was how I started, right? Is anytime I went to do anything, I was like, oh, I want to film this. I want to get I'm going to this, like going on a hike, and there's gonna be such cool shots everywhere. I want to bring like a really nice camera in. Yeah. And now I go on, like I still do those things. I go on hikes. I go on, like, I'll go to the park. I'll go to wherever. Mm-hmm. And and I always make a point of leaving the camera at home, because like it's for me, that's now it's taking a break from it and just doing it as a hobby, which is weird, but I think it's helpful. So like, like just finding ways to do, because I think like, especially when it comes to like fitness, I don't know if you like you get caught in the same cycle, but I just felt like there's a point for, I know it happened with me, which is that you kind of you're just waiting for the next workout. Yeah. You're just like, you finish up at the gym and you're like that. Like I was measuring my days. I was not measuring my days in Monday, Tuesday, days of the week. I was measuring it in terms of what workout it was. Yeah. So like for in bodybuilding terms, it would have been like, okay, chest day is over. Now tomorrow. Yeah. But for me, it was like, oh, I get to do weightlifting tomorrow. I get to do snatches tomorrow. Yeah. And I was measuring my days in that, and then so when you're only doing fitness, it just really becomes this weird like time loop.
Yeah. I wonder how many, I'm sure a lot of other trainers battle this, but it's like, one thing I do miss is going to the gym, like my trip to the gym, getting myself ready and going to the gym. Cause right now I usually work out on my like hour break. I don't have to go to the gym. It's like it's like I'm going from training my like client. There's not much change from training my client to doing my own training.
So it just blends.
It's not as much like hype like into my own training. So that's one thing that I actually struggle with, is like I'm there to motivate people to train hard and be like pumped to be there. I have a hard time because I'm just always in it, right? And I think that's where, passion with my own training has faded a little bit. It goes through ups and downs. I have like a solid workout every once in a while, but I'm finding more often than not, it's hard to get hyped up for your own kind of workout, because you've been hyping other people up all day long.
Does that bother you at all, or is it just
it does? Yeah, like I wish I was more hyped. I do, but I know that I'm going to be glad that I trained anyway rather than doing nothing. I know I'll always feel worse if I do nothing. So even if I'm not hyped, I know it's good for me. So right now, my drive is knowing that training is good for me. Over time, if I see my body change even a little bit, that's going to be mentally good for me, right? So it's not so much just that like kind of natural, like I'm pumped to be there. It's kind of just keeping in mind why you do this. Why do you do fitness?
Just a daily reminder.
It's just a daily thing. It's just what I tell my clients, like, why are you here? That should be you getting, that should give you enough fuel to be pumped for your training. And that's, I always focus on the mindset over training rather than, the kind of superficial stuff, right? Lots of my clients, I see more change with their mindset than I do body most of the time. And that is still something huge for me, because at the end of the day, they're coming back to me like, you know what? I haven't lost like all the weight I want to lose, but I feel so much better. Like mentally, I'm so much better. And that is sometimes, enough, right? For them. They didn't even realize that they actually wanted that, but once they feel that and they feel better, it just makes their whole quality of life better.
Well, yeah, I mean, that kind of like, it's weird, because when you think about like, what does the term, I think about this all the time. Like, what does the term fitness even really mean? Because it's different to everybody. And your own opinion of what fitness is will change throughout your life, right? Like when I started the same thing as you, where it was just, I remember I watched the movie Man of Steel.
Okay.
And there's a shot of Henry Cavill where he runs out without his shirt on, because he just like, I guess like just crashed into the ocean or something. He just, for some reason, lost only his shirt. And like it's like after an oil rig like explodes and he only loses his shirt. So he has to run through this like beach, and I remember I watched like a bunch of like special features and like interviews talking about the fitness regime, and the way that they talked about it to me was just like, I want to do that.
Yeah.
Like but it started with like, really, I said like I want to do that, but really I was like, I want to look like that.
Yeah.
Not really knowing, like the Hollywood whatever, there's levels to that, meaning that like he doesn't look like that. He probably didn't look like that an hour later. He probably just had a ridiculous pump.
Yeah.
And but yeah, so then when I first started, it was like I want to look like that. And then as I started consuming more and more fitness content, it became I want to do that.
Yeah.
And then, like throughout the years, you just kind of like become disillusioned with it because you see a lot of the fake social media stuff, and you realize that a lot of the stuff that you looked up to was never real in the first place. And it's just kind of, you go through this weird identity crisis. So, and you reach this point where you're like, okay, what do I like to do?
Yeah.
Like, what do I like? But hopefully at that point, you've been doing it long enough that you've found some level of meaning in your training, whether it is, like the sense of accomplishment once you finish, a certain program, or once you reach a certain level of with a physique or strength or whatever. But I think for everybody, you need to find what is it about fitness that's like your why? Like, what's the reason that you go back every day? Is it just because you feel like you have to? Is it because you're paying for it, or is it because you find something in it that you really connect with?
Yeah.
And so like the term fitness to me is like, because like, having a change in your mindset. Yeah. That's one of the biggest things that somebody can do for you, right? Or so that you can do for yourself. If you can make the connection in your head of like the value of putting an effort into something. Yeah. And if you can learn that through fitness, you can apply that to the rest of your life.
Exactly.
So there's when it comes to the term fitness, I think a lot of people really, really restrict what it means, but it means a lot of things. Like it's a total.
It can mean whatever you want it to mean, and that's fine. Like whatever you think, it's all about being better, and what you can be better in: physical health, mental health, anything. And it can always translate if you can follow this plan and see your body change and see your mindset change. That's going to help you tackle your like work life, tackle your family life. It's going to help you do everything, right? Mm-hmm. So I saw the benefit in training in all aspects of like life. And that's what like a huge part of fitness that I've always loved. Mm. Yeah.
So how has that like changed for you? Because now I guess you were saying that like you don't put as much effort into yourself anymore because you have sort of kind of taken stock of what's important. You've delegated all that energy to your clients.
Yeah.
Has that been hard for you to do, or what is it about, I guess, your clients that made you be willing to kind of put yourself on maybe not a back burner, but like kind of give up some priority to them?
Well, really, like I say that I put all my effort onto clients and everything like that, but really my clients are my business, right? So if my business is doing well, it's just a part of my life and myself that I'm making grow. So I'm putting my physical fitness on a little bit of the back burner, but my career fitness, as like possibly, is growing, right? So still a part of my life is actually growing, and I found happiness within that, right? So it's just different parts of my life that I'm growing, right? So I wouldn't say I put myself totally on the back burner. I'm just focused on growing certain parts of my life, and right now it's like career.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So, but I do love the like physical side of stuff. I love looking a certain way, right? So I do think about it every once in a while. I was like, man, I wish I had time to like focus on my physical health, but I'm still happy that I'm growing a part of my life. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you think you'll ever get back on stage again?
I ask myself this daily. I think about this daily. People ask me every day. I would love to. And I think that there'll be a time and a place, and the stage will always be there. I love prep. I love going through something challenging and knowing that if I push myself, I can get there. That's one part. One benefit of doing shows is like, when you get your body to a certain state, people see that and they're like, I want to look like that. Can you help me? So it gets me business too. Mm. So I would say that if I did it, it wouldn't be really to get more business because I'm already full, right? Yeah. It'd be for myself. And I think down the road, after I start building on these separate things, like you saw, I'm doing this kind of meal service thing, and I'm trying to do clothing and all that stuff. So this stuff will hopefully bring me more like passive income, right? once I get that going, then I can dial back a little bit of the in-person hours. I can still do my online training and then possibly do a show. And hopefully one day, what I'm kind of working to is having a balance of everything, right? I feel like in order to make one area of your life grow, you have to be like obsessed with it. You have to have tunnel vision, just like doing shows. I had to have tunnel vision, right? Right now, career, tunnel vision, right? And I think that I need to take this period of my life to help this area of my life grow. And then at a certain point, my goal is to have a balance, right? But I think in order to make certain areas grow, you just have to be like obsessed, and you have to put other areas of your life on the back burner temporarily. But always know that balance is better long term. This is not a long term, way that I want to do thing. So it's super cool. You got the like clothing on, which I'm super pumped about. I've always wanted my own fitness clothing brand. Yeah. But that's another thing is I haven't been tunnel vision with my clothing, and that's why it's out there, but it's not growing like my
as much as it would be
my like personal training, right?
Yeah,
like you hear about how like Gymshark grew and Alphalete, like this guy was in his basement like sewing and all this stuff. He's sending out gear to like athletes and saying, can you wear it? If I put all my effort into my like clothing, I know I could grow that. If I put all my effort into my meal service stuff, I know I could grow that. So those are kind of slowly growing while I build my personal training to a certain point where it's just like booming. Like right now, I am a Torque trainer, but I bring in like a lot of my own clients, right? So, down the road, maybe it's mostly, my own clients, right? And then I'm getting paid more and doing well, maximizing my hours. So I think that right now my goal is just tunnel vision on my career, and then hopefully one day I can take a little bit of a breather and do tunnel vision on like another show, because that's my like passion, and have some fun, right? So
it's just all about making space for what's important at the time.
Exactly, yeah.
Which is like right now, career is at the forefront.
Yep.
And then when you've got that taken care of, you can make space for whatever comes next.
Exactly.
It's a good way to go about it.
Yeah.
Kind of makes me wish I had something of a plan. I just feel like I just do shit.
Yeah. I would say I have like a like vision of where I want to be, and I need to do better at planning out the like steps to get there. Right now, my biggest thing is I just work hard. I work fucking hard, like 24/7 almost, right?
Yeah, I think you do have a plan.
I do have I would say like I kind of know what I need to do daily in order to get to where I want to be, but I love to have like a clear plan. So I like to write things down on like paper rather than just have it in my head going around. I always say that to like clients, like if they have trouble sleeping and they say like, oh, I wake up and I start thinking about something I have to do. Okay, right before bed, you get a piece of paper, you write down what you need to do, and you know that you're going to go to sleep for 7 to 8 hours. You're not doing it then, right?
Yeah, exactly,
you put it out, you get it out of your head, and you say, okay, I'm doing it then. And then that, like, I need to put it in on paper what I'm going to do long term so that it's out of my head, because I do get a lot of like obsessive thoughts about like, I need to do this, I need to do that. I need a more clear mind. I work better when my mind is clear.
Yeah. That whole thing about like writing things down, putting it on paper, that is heavily slept on.
Yeah, I know.
When I started doing that, it changed everything, because you can't just store everything in your head all the time. Because you can only think about one thing at a time. And everything else is just in the back, just swirling around, and you're just worrying about it.
Exactly. Worry is the worst thing. You're worrying about something that like you can't even do it that moment.
Yeah.
Why not just focus on what you're doing right then, so you can maximize that?
Yeah.
And then you focus on the other stuff later.
Yeah, because you're also, part of you is also worried about like, am I forgetting something? Which is, you won't if it's in front of you and you can see it. Like maybe some people really do have the brain power that they can just compartmentalize in your mind, but like for me, if I as soon as I get like an email, or as soon as I get a message from somebody that's asking me to do something, first thing I do is I write it down. Yeah. So then I know that even if it's just as simple as like answer that email or answer that message, I write that down. So then I'm not in the back of my mind like, did I answer that email? Because it's still there. Yeah. I wrote it down, and as soon as it's done, stop thinking about it. Yeah. Because if you just let that stuff percolate in the back of your mind, it's just going to drive you nuts. Yeah. And like, for what? It could be like 3 or 4 things that like, and you'll just get caught in this weird cycle where you're just so worried that you do nothing. Yep. And so yeah, like the idea of like writing stuff down, heavily slept on.
And there's that whole kind of science brain chemistry of like, if you have a checklist and you just simply check things off, that'll raise dopamine levels in your brain, just simply checking
the
something
sense
off.
of accomplishment.
Yeah, like it's like as simple of like, if you just write down your day, like I gotta go wash my car. It's not anything like for your job, but just saying, okay, I gotta wash my car, check it off. That just feels good, even though you don't really realize it, but it feels good. Like you're like, I got that done. It's out of the way. I have to go mail something. I have to send this email. Simply like, getting back to, sometimes I'll just write down in my phone, my online client will send me a like video for, of their training, and they want me to help out with form. I can't get it to it right then, but I'm going to write it down on like paper, and I'm going to do it when I can. And then I'm going to check it off, and just simply that, like, it just feels good.
It clears it out of your head to put it down.
Yeah.
To put it down on
But
paper.
then also make sure you check it off, because if you just write it down, but you don't check it off,
it's just always going to be
it's
this.
just, you don't get that like feeling of like, I like finished it. It's the same with training. Training, when you're done, you're done it. You checked it off, right? But you need to like physically feel that like, I'm done my like training, right? Same thing with like writing things down. Actually check it off. Don't just write it down and then just get it done. Check it off.
When you are training now, or like maybe when you were training for competing or whatever, what's kind of your like mindset approach toward training? Like when you're in the gym, are you one of these people that just kind of like headphones in, leave me alone? Do you like to be social? Or?
I think there's huge benefit in training with someone, in order in the sense that they're there to push you. Everyone can always train, harder if someone there is pushing you, saying 2 more reps, because in your head you're going to give up sooner than your friend is. And if you're just listening to your friend and you take yourself out of your head, then you're going to do more than what you think you can do. But I also like the kind of like putting the headphones on, listening to like music or anything to kind of motivate me, because it's my time for myself, right? So I like to mix it up. Sometimes I'll train with someone, sometimes I'll train on my own.
And that can be like a training partner or a coach, or
like I have my coach who I'll train with every once in a while. When I go into prep, like he's there telling me what to do. One thing that I can do well is I can follow a like plan to a T. I'm really good. One thing is like, I can coach someone, but I can be coached, and that's a huge thing to have, is being coachable, right? When I grew up, I was playing hockey. I was being coached, and I was really good at listening, right? So that's one thing I try to like instill on my clients, is you have your plan, just follow it. Take your mindset out of it. If you have to, just do everything on here.
I think that's one of the things that like sabotages a lot of people, is when they think they know better. Because it's like, it's me. I know better than, I know myself better than anybody else. But like, what's the point of hiring a coach? You're not gonna do what they say. It defeats the whole purpose of it. So, and then you get in this weird cycle of like people like, oh, they're not like, whenever I like hear people talk about bad experiences with coaches, I kind of take that with a grain of salt, because I'm like, okay, were they a bad coach, or were you just not doing what they were saying?
Exactly.
So that's where you kind of, that's where it gets weird with like do you have any issues? Have you ever had any issues with that, or like people who sort of because your reputation, I'm sure you know this, like anybody who does anything that's like either freelance or entrepreneurial or both, is that your reputation is everything. You lose your reputation, that's your career gone. So if somebody says something, bad about you, and people start to listen, that's the beginning of the end for you. So like, but also to a certain extent, like you only have so much control. Like, if somebody never shows up to the gym, or if they're not doing what you're saying, if they're not following a diet, or if they're not doing their cardio, and then they're not seeing results, that's not really your fault. It's just, but then they can say like, oh, I had a coach and nothing happened. Have you ever had any issues with that? I
haven't had any issues as of yet, knock on wood, that like people are talking badly of me. Maybe they're not happy with, they aren't seeing much change. But I always, and I've learned this over the years, because I used to just give people the like plan and just help them push through it. But now I focus on the whole mental side of everything. So, I actually add goals into their, initial goal of losing 20 pounds. Of like, I make them see the kind of bigger picture of like, what if you, during this like process, you actually felt better in your daily life. I add goals that like, I know I can make you, reach those, right? And it's not simply just like following a plan to a T, but like I talk with you through our like training and we talk about things. So I'm creating a kind of friendship there too. So that's where I find that, even if the person didn't lose 20 pounds and that's what they wanted to do, they still feel like, that their time with me was well spent, right? They, created a like friend, and I make them see, I always make it clear, like, I'm giving you this plan, but you have to understand the plan doesn't work unless you do. So if you have to be honest with me 100% of the time, but I want you to know that if you don't do everything that I ask you, I can't coach you. So, and sometimes it's about working with the person to find the best plan. So that's the other thing. Like, I don't just give them a plan. I'm like, this is the only way we're going to do it. I create a like plan, but then I work with them to actually help them, make changes to the plan that's going to work best for them. I ask them, if I give them a certain amount of cardio and a certain amount of calories, when I make changes, I say, what do you think you can handle more? Do you think you can handle more cardio or less food? And then it's kind of like they're helping out with the overall plan. So it's not all like I say, there's so many different ways we can do this. What works best for you? And that's one way that I get them to follow the plan, is like, you help choose this. This is what you thought was best, right? It wasn't just me saying this is the like way. And if it didn't work, then I'm totally wrong, right? We are a team here. That's one thing that I do. And I've learned all these, better ways to deal with these possible issues of like, people not losing weight or people not thinking that I got them to where they want to be, right? We're working together. It's not just me, it's you and me, right?
Right. So I guess it's like, equal side, or like the flip side of like you have to be coachable as, and for lack of a better term, athlete. Yeah. You got to be coachable. I guess as a trainer, you also got to be flexible.
Flexible, yes. You have to understand that everyone's different, and that if they are a customer at the end of the day, right? So if they're saying like, I don't really feel like that's the right way to do it. If you have to, try and make them understand first, like, I think this is the like best way. But if you don't think you can do it, or you don't think that is the right way, you kind of have to give them what they want. Like if a client says, I want to do intermittent fasting, like I just don't want to eat until like 12. And I was like, honestly, for your goals, I don't think that's best.
Right.
And then they just kind of like say like, no, I think that is going to work best. That is going to work best. I'll say, okay, we're going to try it. This is the best way to do it your way. And that's why I don't really get into issues where it's like, people blaming me, because at the end of the day, I'm trying to help you do your way, the best way.
So how do you draw that line between somebody who maybe, has an idea of how they want to do things, and then maybe in your opinion, the way that they're saying you might not 100% agree with? Like, how do you balance those things of just of imposing your will on them?
Yeah.
And then also bending to theirs to some extent?
I think that I'm never doing things that I think are totally wrong. I just may think there's a better way, but the way that someone wants to do things, there's always a way you can do it in a way that's best, right? So I'm going to try and help them go through the journey that they want to go through the best that they can. Even though I may think like, we should try this. You can't force anyone to do anything, right? And they're paying you for a like service to help you coach them. So I'm going to coach them through, if they want me to coach them through a certain diet that they just like, I want to do this, I think it's right, I'll help them through it. And sometimes at a certain point they're like, oh, actually you were right. Like maybe I should try it your way. But you're never going to make a customer happy if you just force your ways on them. Right. Like at the end of the day, it's like, well, I'm paying you. This is what I want to do. Why won't you help me do it? So that's where I do it. It's like I'm giving the customer what they want. So you have to really listen and really understand each person and what they want, what they can do, what they can't do, I ask them a lot of questions. The first hour that I spend with someone, I'm asking them a lot of questions. I'm getting them to talk and tell me, what do you like? What has worked in the past with trainers? What hasn't worked? What do you like? What do you don't like? Is there exercises, even with like exercise? If someone is there to lose weight and they really want to do, barbell bench press, right? But I'm thinking like, we don't really need to do that. There's other ones that I think are better. But if you really want to do that, we're going to do that, and we're going to do it the best we can. So yeah, at the end of the day, I'm just trying to have the client one enjoy their time. So we get to spend time together. We get to talk. It's like they always say, Dan's always told me, you know, people are buying trainers. They're not buying training. They're spending hours with you every week. They're spending, 3-4 hours with you every week. They have to want to spend time with you. If your time with them, if you're giving them all this kind of knowledge and, and telling them the best plan and the best diet, if they don't like you, they're not going to want to spend time with you. So part of it is just being actually likable, being someone that they actually want to spend time with, And if you're pushing them harder than what they would be able to be pushed on their own, then you're doing your job. You have to create your own kind of value.
Right. Huh.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. Well, maybe we can end on this too.
Yeah.
When somebody comes to see you for the first time, what like if it's somebody that's just kind of, I don't know, somebody who just walks in the doors at Torque, or maybe even just finds you on Instagram, what's what can they expect? Like what's your objective when the first time that you meet somebody and they express interest in training with you?
I want to first get to know them. Obviously it's simple in the sense of like, I want to know what your goals are. And then I try and really dig at like, why is that your goal? How is this going to benefit you? So I give them a like client intake form. I'm asking what their daily kind of regimen is, what their diet is like, what their stress is like overall, because stress is a huge thing. I want to know as much about them as like possible. And then I make them understand that like, look, this is like a team effort. I'm going to work with you. Like, I'm not just telling you what to do. I am at certain times, but at the end of the day, this is a team thing. I'm going to give you what you want. I'm going to be there to help you and coach you, because I'm not just a like personal trainer. I'm a coach too. So I make sure that they feel comfortable always being honest with me. I want to make them, really trust me, right? So I'm creating that kind of trust and everything. But generally, I'm trying to give them everything that they want and then more, like possibly opening their eyes to even more. Like, they come to me with one little goal, I'm going to make them see so many more goals that they could actually reach. So actually making them a better person all around. Like, how you coming to me for this goal, if we can get there, we're going to also work on all this other stuff that's going to improve your entire quality of life. So that's one thing that I like to focus on, is more than just the like physical part. It's everything. And that's where I really think that I've done really well and I've created an awesome clientele base, is because I create value with someone's like for someone's life, not just for their little tiny goal of like fitness. It's so much bigger. Perfect.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, tell us about your merch and tell us about this. Was it like it's a meal prep service?
So the merch I've come out with maybe like 3 or 4 different kind of drops usually.
I have one of each gen.
Yes, you've been awesome. Like you were the first person I did a photo shoot with, video shoot, everything. Yeah. I've always tried to work with you. I love working with you. So you've gotten every merch drop. And I love that you rock. And I think it's getting better and better every time I drop something. I try and do something a little bit different.
This is my favorite one.
Yeah. I'm more of a hoodie guy, but I actually love the crew necks. Yeah. I've done t-shirts, I've done crew necks, I've done hoodies. I'd love to do more like women's clothes actually soon. I haven't dropped it yet, but I have some women's clothing that I'm gonna start doing soon. I'm actually gonna get some of my athletes to like basically kind of rock it, post with it, wearing the outfit, and then see what kind of feedback I get, and then possibly do something bigger. That's to come soon. I'd love to one day have my own clothing brand. Like, that'd be awesome. But I need to, get my career to where I want it to be, where I can take a little step back and then put more focus into the kind of clothing side. With the meal service company, it actually it's nothing that I had planned. It's nothing that I ever thought I would actually do. But I started training this guy, and he's had a meal service company for the past 10 years. But what's cool about him is he works with companies or people. He takes his own brand off the actual kind of meal. He allows you to create your own portions or your own kind of meal plan using meals that he already cooks for his own business.
Okay.
Yeah. And basically, I'm taking the best meals from his kind of menu every week, and I'm making kind of cutting plan, bulking plan, and then people can order through me, and then that's a little bit of like passive income I get off, every single meal. So we've been doing really well. We've been doing it for about a month or so, and every week we're doing about 100 meals every week. So it's done really well. It was a little bit easier to get going than I thought, and I just think like, wow, if I put all my effort into that, how big could it be? So I think that's huge. Is like, it's huge in the fitness industry. Is having your meals made for you. People nowadays, they don't have time. They just work. So having their meals already made for them is actually really really huge, and something bigger than I thought. I thought all these meal prep companies, they're mainly geared towards like athletes and people dieting for shows. Most of my clients who actually have it are just people who are working a lot. They make good money, and they can afford to have their like meals made for them, and they're healthy meals.
Perfect.
So it's going really well. If you want to try some out, I can get you some samples for you. For sure. They're awesome meals. They don't really taste like diet food, which is amazing about this guy.
Oh yeah, that's, yeah. The amount of times I've spent just washing down dry chicken breasts with water.
We had like on our menu last week. We had like a bibimbap. We had a chicken pho. We had orange chicken. We had like a beef roast and like mash. We have like almond crusted chicken fingers. Like it's pretty good.
Pretty wide menu.
But it stays within, each meal has like 6 ounce protein. That's got so much carbs for the cutting meals, so much carbs.
Well, I think that's
the
bulking. That's the benefit of having you in it is, right? Yeah. You can curate. Whereas, like some people might just see like orange chicken, I can't eat that.
Yeah.
They might see like, whatever roast thing, whatever, I can't eat that. But, having you oversee it and having, the Garrett stamp of approval on it, then makes them feel better about eating it. So that's a great idea.
Yeah.
But yeah. Okay. Well, all of Garrett's info will be tagged, in the description because I'm posting this on YouTube.
Sure, yeah.
Merch available at Torque or through Garrett directly. Check out the meal service.
More to come. Yeah, thanks for having me on, Kevin.
Thank you for doing this.
Yeah, man.
And cheers one more time.
Cheers. Yeah. Appreciate this, man.
All right. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. If you had done either, and we'll see you next time. 3DD Podcast.
See you guys.